How's your cigarette?
Excellent.
So tell me, what's going on in Spain?
Full-scale revolt. Youth unemployment's 50%. National employment's between 25 and 30%. There's a credit crunch and a real estate crunch happening. People are pissed. And people had elected a socialist government in 2004, and they've generally had socialist rule the last 5-6 years. My cigarette just went out.
You know what I'm out?
Yeah. Hold on. Hey, what's up? I might have moved it, yeah. Oh, where did I put that? Hold on, stop the tape. Let me, when I come back up in a minute, let me look for it. 'Cause I think I put it behind the desk. Either behind the desk or in the other things. I didn't throw it out or anything, I know that. Okay? Alright, I'll find it, okay? Okay, bye-bye. Sorry about that. You can edit this, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so the pigs, this is Portugal, Spain, Ireland, Iceland, they're all...
Put it in your mouth. The cigarette. You have to put the cigarette in your mouth first. And then do the light. The pigs.
The pigs. I think the EU can't get enough capital to bail all these states out. And France, the UK, and Germany are all way overexposed to the bad debt. And I think it's the end of the Eurozone in the next 6 to 12 months. And when that happens, there'll probably be a worldwide credit crunch. A brief boost to the dollar, but credit markets everywhere will seize, and there'll be bailouts all over the place, or calls for bailouts. And everywhere except the United States, I think they're going to meet with extreme political resistance, for sure. United States, it's a wild card. It'd be sad if the Eurozone ends. I don't know. I think it was a nice experiment, but you can't integrate different economies with different labor structures, different business cultures and practices, different types of financial markets, and peg them all to the same currency and use the same monetary policy when fiscal policy can't be coordinated. And even if it could be coordinated, it'd be very difficult. And I think they're going to have to go back to different currencies. What'll be interesting is if all the relaxation of visa requirements and the end of the traveling privileges and some of the political integration that has kept the peace between all these peoples in Europe, it remains to be seen if that holds firm through this too. That could be put under enormous strain. In addition, with Europe looking to really expand its military presence in North Africa and maybe even in sub-Saharan Africa, how are they going to pay for this? And how is that going to work out as people become more aware of the corruption and stagnant policies of European nations, especially the large Eurozone countries?
Such as?
France, Germany, UK. Oh, the UK isn't really Eurozone, but its debts are tied up to what goes on there. They have a different currency, but they're way overexposed. I mean, something like 20 to 25% of the UK banking sector has debts in Spain. And keep in mind, London was just a month ago, 4 to 6 weeks ago, was a center of intense protests. People are protesting corporations who won't pay taxes. They're protesting austerity measures. And over 70% of the country was against the royal wedding being supported by any taxpayer money. The only people who cared about the royal wedding were bourgeois people here who think the prince-princess story is fascinating. I don't think it's fascinating. Fuck them. They don't need... The royal family means nothing. I mean, maybe it does to people who have a sense of the lore of the old British Empire, but that has to die. It's dead and should stay dead. We're moving into a new phase of human existence, and hereditary monarchies, whether they exist in Africa, the Arab world, or even old Europe, just they don't cut it anymore. There's a move for real democracy. I was talking with a friend of mine who's a Russian Orthodox Jew about the revolts in the Arab world, and he's convinced, as many other Orthodox Jews who have Russian heritage are, that a strong undercurrent of this is we hate Israel, want to drive the Jews into the sea. I mean, that view has always been there, and it's probably occupies about the same percentage of the population in countries like Egypt and Syria as it always has. But I think people really just want fair government. If they want to eat, they want jobs, they want some representation. They're tired of U.S. and in some cases Israeli-supported Arab dictators that beat the snot out of them and torture them and extort from them and all of that. I mean, what they want is really reasonable. And they have a lot more balls than we do to fight against that kind of corporation, that kind of corporate dominance and that kind of skullduggery. We don't have that. That same thing is happening here with the Koch brothers, Fox News, and the machinations of the corporate state here. But Americans seem just beaten down and unwilling to resist. We're just an abused and battered population. And even with the economy continuing to slip into depression, and many people losing homes and jobs, we can't summon the will to have an intelligent resistance to this. I look at what's going on in Spain, in Egypt, some of these other countries, Arab and European countries. I sort of wish we'd copy it. It would make the people who've stolen from everybody else through housing bubbles and credit bubbles and pro-corporate policies, it would make them rethink their position. You would get a little more balance. We're desperately going to need a little more balance and equality in socioeconomic relations worldwide if we're going to solve the ecological crisis at all. I, however, am pretty pessimistic on that. I think the old elites are going to hang on real tough and real tight, just like they are in Bahrain. You know, Saudi troops, supported by American military advisors and American weapons, are invading and helping that Sunni monarchy put down a majority Shiite revolt, and it's being closed to the global media, and people are just getting shot left and right. And it remains to be seen if some of that violence from the government is turned against protesters in European countries, but somehow I doubt it. The authoritarian structures aren't quite as strong, and I think there's a little bit less, there's a little more of a history of democratic tradition and civil society that'll prevent that from happening. But what's happening now? It's a wild card. We're in uncharted territory, and it's very difficult to determine what could happen next. I think worldwide depression and World War IV are on our doorstep, if you count World War III as being the Cold War. That's pretty much all I got to say.